about anything. The other day, I was working with classes 3 and 4 on their spelling program, and most of their questions were not actually about the spelling lessons that we've created. They were about basic questions they had about the English language. One brought up the question of how to pronounce the word shower, like when you have a bath in the shower. And it was an excellent question because she said some children come pronouncing it shower or shower. And I said, yeah, these are the kinds of things to clarify now, because if we're not using the correct sounds, we can't expect them to use them. In addition, in a word like shower, it's shower. It's not show. And that's an example of how the English letters OW can make two different sounds. So obviously some parents would not know all the fine points that we're all thinking about. And so they're coming up with shower, just like the word, can you show me your hand? I was very pleased that these kinds of questions came up. Another one was the word flower, as in meadow, as opposed to flower, which grows. Well, the pronunciation is the same, even though one has OW and one has OU. Because again, one sound, two different spellings. So if you come across any words like that, particularly ones that are related to your lessons or what you'll be teaching, please bring it out, because you're not the only one who's thinking this. When one teacher said this thing about shower, all the other heads were, yeah. So you may have a similar problem with a partner. Please never hesitate to ask. I'm always asking people in my family, okay, now what is that word? Isn't that the same as that other word in Hindi? Or why is that how? If we don't clarify, we'll never know. So I'm happy if you bring your questions out. Yeah, today we're doing the sound of the short E, eh. Luckily for you and your students, they've been practicing that in very simple words like bed and red and hen, because those are some of the words in the lessons that you've already done on short vowels. Besides the words that they say, I mean, they use the color words, they know what a bed is. Some of the stories have a boy named Ted. So that sound is not unusual to them, it's not new. But it isn't always the easiest sound in English to identify, which is why linguistic teachers and language teachers suggest we keep it at the end of the 5 basic vowels. You're lucky that at least here in India, most people pick it up easily. Children that I've taught who are from Germany have a terrible time because they mix up the letter E and the letter I from their German language. So at least we're not dealing with that. So don't feel that you and your students are alone in grappling with some issues. People who are in the Western world with Western-based languages have just as much trouble. So one more thing I just remembered. Another teacher, actually a class 2 teacher who was sitting in, said, ma'am, what do we do about the letter Y? Because sometimes it's the beginning of the word, sometimes it makes another sound. Good question. Some child may ask it, you may be wondering. The letter Y is unusual in that it can be a consonant at the beginning of a word, like yes, yellow, yacht, and it can function as a long E sound in many, baby, happy. It doesn't very often do anything else. It's rare, you can never say never, but it's rare to find it in the middle of the word unless it's a word like anybody. Then it's really just the word any and body happen to be joined together in a compound word. So the Y is there, A-N-Y, B-O-D-Y. So these questions are wonderful, essential, and more than welcome. So if you hear or think of anything as we go along, make a note and please ask about it, okay? So today we're doing the first book of the 3 in the eh sound. And it's good that it's called Red Hen. It's a very simple book. It's about something kids can understand because they've probably read The Little Red Hen, bakes the bread and the cat won't help and all that stuff. So they're probably familiar with words like this. So you have your group come together, show them the book and remind them they're going to read the book by themselves. And in fact, this story, boys and girls, is about a brother and sister, and they have a pet, and their pet actually is a hen. Isn't that interesting? They have a pet that's a hen. So now you show your word cards. Ted and Jen, of course, because they're the characters. Hens. Notice you're beginning to have some plural words. Don't make a big deal about it. The story will make it clear that we're talking about many hens. Fed, pet, red, well, another 4-letter word. Keg, yells, 5 letters, and egg. So explain any of the new words, particularly keg, which is another word for a barrel, you can give some other example that is relevant to your children. It's something like a big, let's say, trash can or something. So explain the words, keep pointing to the word cards. So they're hearing the sound, maybe looking at a word that you're explaining like keg, yell, I'm sure they know yell, but still. And then post the word cards right next to you. I mean, when I keep saying post them, I hope you can imagine maybe an easel or a chart right next to you, and the children are sitting in front of you, so that you can keep pointing to the words or they can keep looking at them as the lesson goes on. So let's look at the pictures in this story. So you show each page, briefly discuss what's going on. So here are your books. I'll read the story while you look at the pictures. Teacher reads, children look at the pictures. Again, you go back to the word cards and say, so now we know this is Ted, Jen, this is the hen. So just review the words in the context of the story. I'll read the story again. Now you follow the words on the page. Oh no, first you read the story again, they look at the pictures, then you read and they look at the words. Don't say anything. This, again, I'm emphasizing because maybe there'll be a new person joining your team or someone hasn't thought about this. We don't want the children to be echo reading. We don't want them to be reading along with you or half a second after you. We're not doing that anymore in our reading program. Teacher reads it and then she says, let's talk about the story for a minute, because if they're not understanding it, they're not going to be able to read it. Our 3 of our grandchildren have moved to the United States. Now they're trying very hard to keep up their Hindi. So once a week they get on the phone, WhatsApp video with our niece who lives with us, their Bua. So Ariana, who's now 12 and has been to Indian schools until last year and has some Hindi, is trying to read her Hindi book in Hindi with Bua, who's also checking it. And I finally said last night to my niece, listen, next time you read the sentence first, because only when the child understands what those words might be and her mind is engaged in those words. And it's that simple, Ismat's Eid, it's a lovely story. And we read it in English, we read it in Hindi, but until the child knows that now this sentence is about Ismat cutting off his trousers, or this is about buying a burqa, no amount of looking at words is going to bring that word to light for her. Same here. If the kids don't know what a keg is, or they don't know what yells means, the story is going to fall flat. So, now what kind of place do Ted and Jen live in? Probably you want to help them understand that they live on a farm or a big house where they have some chickens in the backyard. They need to get that sense. What makes Ted and Jen sad? Oh, they can't find their hen, so they will figure that out by now. Why does Jen yell? Now, did something bad happen? Something exciting? Something good? Why did she yell? And if you're not getting very many answers, it means they haven't quite got the gist of the story. Now they're going to whisper read on their own. And sometimes when they actually read it on their own, now they're looking at the words, they've got their picture to check. Oh, I see. Wait a minute. Why does Jen yell? Ted tips the keg. And as soon as he tips it, they find the hen is hiding in there. Jen yells. And when you look at the picture, you see that she's got a very happy face. So the context of the story is important in order to understand the meaning of the words and the point of using those words. So now you whisper read, and I'll come around to listen and help you if there's blah, blah, blah. So that's the same that we do every time. Explain the worksheet, and when they go back to the tables on their own, they will read the story again to themselves. Today's work is something that they've seen before. They have to cut out the correct word, put it in the correct sentence, and then write it again. Jen has 6, now something with 4 letters. You know, you can go over the page with them before they go to their tables. And now that there are many words throughout the last couple of weeks with 4 letters, you want to point that out. That's a visual clue. It's not telling the answer, it's not cheating. So Jen has 6, Jen has 6, something with 4 hens, maybe? Jen has 6 yells. That doesn't make any sense. Jen has 6 well. What does she have 6 of? Yeah, she has 6 hens. So we're going to cut the word and put it here, and then we're going to write the word. So give them a few starters. You can do the whole page if you feel you need to, or at least a few to get them started. And they read the story to themselves at their tables. Second day, come together, review yesterday's worksheet. Again, your other teacher is going around helping them as they're doing it. So there's really no reason for a mistake. Occasionally there will be mistakes. So if you happen to be showing one that has a mistake, you can say, okay, would you just read your sentence again? The red hen is not in the, where is she not? She's not in the, yeah, she's not in the well. Now you remember, don't you? Okay, you can look at that later. So the child can self-correct. Now, there are some sight words. Many of them we've had before, but that's why they're sight words. The word are, A-R-E, miss, not, an, is, and in. They know these by now. An, is, and in, I'm sure they know. No harm in reviewing them. Review all of the words for the lesson plus the sight words. So guys, what is happening in the story? What is the story about? So 2 or 3 kids they had a pet hen and they couldn't find it, or it got lost, or they were sad, or let them talk. 2 or 3 or 4 ideas can come out. It'll give you a clue to how much has actually been understood and what area possibly is the cause for concern. Why do you think the red hen went into that keg? That's not where she lives. Why did she go into the keg? Probably somebody will guess that she was laying an egg. Probably. If they say she was scared or she was sick, okay, maybe. Yeah, maybe that. Okay, maybe she was sick. Maybe she was cold. That's possible. Validate the answers, because at least that child is thinking of something. And then in the end, ultimately, well, hatching an egg in there. Okay. Give the books out. Read the story once more out loud. They follow along silently, and then they whisper read while you go around and listen to them. Every time you're going around, at least you're listening to 2 or 3 children and making your notes about how the progress is developing. This is a habit you want to start. And at the end of the week, when you look back at all the notes that you've collected, you'll say, phew, I've got data. If anyone asks me, okay, what's going on with so-and-so child or that, oh, wait, I can open my book and I can tell you exactly what's happening. No mystery. And also No need for some big revision and examinations at the end of the term because you've got it there. And it's cumulative, and therefore it is accurate and authentic. You know, if we produce one wonderful dinner once a month, no one's going to say we're great cooks. We have to have pretty good dinners almost every night in order to get family approval. So explain the activity for day 2. And when they go back to their tables, they read the story with their partners this time. So day circle and find the eh words like red, run, rug, hen, and then write them. So this is eh, I, o, a, u. So all of your vowels are being reviewed here. You can do the whole page with them once just so that they're hearing the sounds again. It's not cheating, it's called teaching. It's perfectly fair. Okay, day 3. Come on together. Review the sight words and the vocabulary from the story. Look at the worksheet. Each child can read one line or say the words. Give the books out. They read with their partners as you again circulate to check on how things are going. And then day 3 activity. So draw. Ted has 10 hens. Jen has 6 hens. So they have to read those words in order to know what drawing they have to make. And then Jen pets the red hen, and egg is in the keg. So the meaning of the story will be revealed in their drawings. They'll understand what they're doing. And the second part is, again, find the correct sentence and circle it. First one, the red hen is a pup. Is the red hen a pup? No, let's see what the next one is. The red hen is a pet. Oh yeah, she's their pet. So do 1 or 2 of them just to juice them up, get them used to it. The hens are in a pen. The hens are in the mud. Now the pigs are in the mud, but the hens are in the pen. Pen is another word you may want to explain, because when they hear pen, they're thinking this. A pen is an enclosure, little fenced off area where the animals can be safe. And they might be familiar with this, but if they're not, you'll have to tell them at the beginning of the lesson with the beginning of the book. And so they read with this time they read the book, they read the story to themselves. And on day 4, come together. Please notice this. When I say readers come together, I'm embracing, I'm calling them. It's not like group 4, come over here. It's not that. Come. It's such a difference in that. And even the child who's not so good in this and kind of is a little afraid, come. Review the worksheet from the day before. You can look at some of the drawings. You don't have to look at every drawing of every child, but just a few. And then revise the last part, because in those sentences, they have to read for meaning. So you want to have each child read at least 1. Review the vocabulary, sight words as well as the lesson words. And now you're going to do that early version of Reader's Theater, where each child takes 1 character and reads it out. So there'll be Ted and Jen and the hens and the pigs and an egg. And if there's a sentence where it starts with the hens are in the pen, then the hens, whoever 2 or 3 kids can be the hens, they can read that. Why? First of all, it's more interesting than just reading the book. Secondly, that if I'm Jen, I'm going to really be excited about reading Jen pets the red hen. I love that sentence because I can be Jen. And if we're the pigs are in the mud, and I love looking at that silly. How will they learn if they're not in the lesson? It's not about you. You used to be the lesson. Now they are the lesson. And if you didn't have enough characters for the whole group, then do the story again. Different kids can take the character parts. Explain the activity for the last day. And when they go back to their seats, they have to write their own sentence about the picture. So the first picture is, whatever, Jen has 6 hens, and then she has a pet. I mean, they can write their own words, but here, Ted looks in the well, or Ted sees the well or something. So, and Jen sees the tub or whatever it is. They can get words from the book, or they can write exactly their own words. Don't tell anybody, but they can write in their own spellings also. If they write, like the hen is in the well, or the hen is not in the well, W-E-L, that's okay. Because they haven't really learned about double L. Or if they write T-U-B, tub, but they spell it T-U-D, the B backwards, that's okay. What is important is that they have written a sentence on their own, or at least most of it. Maybe they've copied it. If they've copied it, maybe they are not ready to create their own sentence. Remember, they're still getting to be 5-ish. They haven't had much experience. So good, at least they went into the book, found the picture. Oh yeah. Jen pets the hen, or Jen has a hen, or Jen likes the hen. Fine. And that's the end of the red hen. So any questions so far on what we've just talked about on our red hen? Story. Questions?
Yes, ma'am. It's an easy story.
It's also easy because kids have all their short vowels. They've been reading now for 2 months. They know the routine of the lesson, and so do you. And so it's easier for you. And again, as I've mentioned before, if once or twice you shift it around or you forget something, if you do the picture walk and then you read it and then you don't read it again, you just ask them to read, it's not the end of the world. Tomorrow you can do a little extra time where you read a second version of it. So if something gets mixed up, it's okay. The lesson is planned in the most effective way, but sometimes something gets messed up. Other thoughts?
I have one question, ma'am. Like in the worksheet where the child has to, the hen lives in maybe day 1, day 2, the worksheet where the
Yeah.
child has to find out the words, cut them, and
Yeah.
then paste them.
Yeah.
In that worksheet, are we giving the words just from the book? Are we giving some
Totally.
words outside the
No.
book?
Even the sentences are from the book.
Okay.
So that if they are stuck, they can jolly well go into the book and find it. Because what's the point of any of this? The point is to teach these words in the context of this story. So we could have said Jen has 6 cats, but we're talking about the sound of eh and this story. So we want the last sentence in this page is, and is in the keg. Now, first of all, "an" is not a word they've used too much. So that's a new learning. And egg is not a word they've used too much. But it's the only thing that's in the keg. So by process of elimination, okay, meanwhile, they might have cut out all the other words and that's the only one left. Whatever method they use to figure it out is a good method.
Yes, ultimately they have to reach to the conclusion and read it.
Yeah. I mean, this is their job. This is the part where you're doing something else with other kids over here. Now they are taking charge of their own learning. You're really telling them, great, now we've read the story and I know you understand it, and it's good that we have Ted and Jen and the egg and all. Now you're going to work on it yourself. These kids have not had that experience much. Everybody's always doing something for them, tying their shoelaces, feeding their lunch, doing their buttons. Your new lesson is teach yourself, guys. I've given you the stuff, now go.
Yeah, ma'am, I have a question. In that worksheet where the child is drawing the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the child draw the picture correctly, but in wrong topic, under wrong topic. So do the child needs to erase it again and no?
Suppose he gets confused. Suppose he's reading Jen pets the red hen, huh? So maybe here, for some reason, maybe he heard his friend
Yeah.
talking, or so over here, maybe instead of Jen pets the red hen, he writes Jen has 6 hens. He draws a picture of Jen with 6 hens. What's your job or the other teacher's job? Just circle the words that are correct and draw a line to this picture.
Yeah.
Because he's got a good thing. And you can say to him, okay, tell me about your picture. Okay, so this is Jen, and these are her hens. How many does she have? 1, 2, 3, 4. She has 6. So he knows what he's doing. Give the kid a benefit of the doubt. If he's put the effort in to think and respond, a minor correction like that is, please don't make him do it again. He'll just, know what happens.
I was also
Right?
thinking the same thing. Yes, just want to correct it. Thank
You
so
know
much.
what happens if they have to redo something. It's like, forget about it, madam. I'm not doing it.
Ma'am, in some of the books, the lesson plans was divided between 1 to 7 page and then 8 to 16. But in the lesson plans, but I have seen that the role play in some of the lesson plans is on the 3rd day. And here you have told role play is on the 4th day. So we have to move accordingly.
No. In this book, there are only 8 pages. So you do the whole book together. In books like this, there are 16 pages. So that's why it's divided in half. So for a book like this, you couldn't do the role play until the 3rd or 4th day when they have read the whole book. So good clarification. These are short and actually simpler. Although luckily this one is a fairly simple story about a kid with an airplane, that's everybody understands. So yeah, you're right. Here you can do role play on 3rd day or 4th, if for some reason that works out for you. Let's take this example. Suppose you have day 1, day 2 is fine. Then on day 3, you have a holiday. School's closed. So by the time you come back, they might have forgotten a little bit. So maybe you do day 1, day 2, then do day 4 on the day you come back from your chutti, and then do the role play on the last day, simply because they might have forgotten a little bit of the story. So that kind of flexibility is in your hands. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Or if you missed your language lesson because you had assembly or whatever you had, do that kind of thing. The
Thank you,
point,
ma'am.
the point of any of this is they should be learning. Okay. Okay, keep your questions ready. We're going on to the jet. So let's come and do some reading today, readers. This book is called The Jet, and it's about a little boy who has a jet airplane. Yeah, I know. Those are fun to have, aren't they? Yeah, it's a toy jet plane. So here are some words you're going to need. This is tin, the word tin. Now, they've already seen that word before, but, and this is got, and this is jet. This is gas. They've learned gas before, but again, we're always reminding that it's another word for petrol. Fit, something fits inside nicely. And pep. Maybe pep is not so much used in this environment, but you can just say, oh, it means lots of energy and it goes real fast and it does fun stuff. And okay. In fact, when you know that word is coming in your lesson next week, you might say, oh, class, you are really peppy today. You've got a lot of pep. Huh, man? Oh, it just means you've got a lot of energy. You're really busy. You're so active. Whenever you can drop a penny in in advance. Then when they hear it here, oh yeah, ma'am said that. Even if 50% of the kids do it, that's a bonus. Show the word cards. Yeah, gas, which means petrol. Tin is a kind of metal. Luckily, you use the word tin here, like a soup tin or a tin of something. But it's a kind of metal. If you happen to have anything like a pencil sharpener or something that's tin, you can just tick, tick, tick on it. And remind the children that sometimes when we have a toy airplane, it can fly a little, maybe a paper airplane or something with a remote control. Just remind them that a toy could fly a little bit. Here are your word cards. We're going to put them right here so we can look at them, okay? So I'll show you your books. Let's look at the pictures and see what's happening in the story. Only pages 1 to 7. That's enough for the first day. So you look at that, give a little, okay, well, here he is. Here's the jet, and he's going out with it. Let's see what happens. Oh, he tries to fly it. Then it looks like it's going to dip. Where possible, you use the words that are in the story so that when they come in the story, the children will have heard it. They may not think of the word dip on their own. Here are your books. I'll read the story. You look at the pictures. Pages 1 to 7, then look at the pictures, then review the word card just once more. So, okay, so here's jet, here's dip, or whatever the words were. I'll read the story again. Now you follow along, looking at the words on each page. Don't say anything out loud. Okay, they follow along. So let's see. What does Bob want to do with his jet? Yeah, he wants to fly it. You're right. Anyone else? Yeah, he wants to play with it. Good, good. That's enough. 1 or 2 ideas is plenty. What happens when the jet goes up? Yeah, what's that word? Yeah, it does like that. What's that word in the story? Dip. That's right. It means it can come down. What do you think will happen to the jet? It'll break, it'll crash, it'll get lost. I'm sure anything is fine because anything could happen to it. It'll go up again, maybe. That's also possible. Now you read the story in a whisper, pages 1 to 7, and I'll come around to help you. So they read in a whisper, you're making notes. Worksheet for day 1. Challenge. They have to cut out the pictures. Then they have to figure out which one happened first, second, third, and last, and paste them. And then write a little sentence about it. I'm expecting the children by the end of upper KG to be able to write some 3-4 word sentences, and pretty much on their own. But everything they need to talk about is in the book, so they can always go in here and look. And yeah, it might take a little thinking or checking in the book to say, wait a minute, okay, yeah, this happened first. Here's Bob looking at his little airplane. Okay, that's definitely the first thing that happened. What happened next? Yeah, I think he went outside and started to play with it. Oh yeah, then it went up. Ooh, but now something is happening. You can review it with them before they go on, but they can do the cutting, pasting, and writing mostly on their own. And it's okay to go look in the book to get an idea about it. For your own benefit, on your master copy, at the back, you may want to write 1, 2, 3, 4, just to remind yourself of the correct sequence. After all, you need to be 101% prepared for these lessons. So if you have always have a spare copy. This is the master, which will go for photocopying. Always have your own. And you can write all over the back of it. You can give yourself directions, notes, reminders, whatever, it's yours. Remember, I've told you so many times, I used to carry a little like index card around with me, right in my pocket, just so I would remember the next step of the lesson. It's like when you're in a drama and then it's a person down reminding you, next you have to say this. They kind of whisper the cue to you so you don't make a mistake when you're in the drama. Day 2. Come on, readers. Let's look at what we did yesterday. Okay, so different people can read different sentences. And Now let's look at these words, folks. You've seen some of them before. These are our sight words. Has, is, his, had, lot, and the words from the lesson. Really important to emphasize has, had. They have to hear that ending sound. These are not words that we could use when we were teaching ending sounds because had is a verb and we can only use nouns at that point where they could connect a word with a picture. But now they're, and this is why they're sight words, because there's very little we can do with them. Has, and give it a sentence if you want to. He has a red bag. Had, I had an umbrella, but I lost it. So that kind of thing. Review the story. So what's happening in this story again? Yeah, Bob has a, what does he have? Oh, he has a jet plane. Is it real or is it a toy? Yeah, it's a toy. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about? What's happening in this story? Give 2 or 3 kids a chance. Just revise because 1 or 2 will be talking, but the other 2 or 3 are, oh yeah. Now I remember this book. Yeah. Okay. And that's also part of the one can talk all the time. The quiet kids are, I got it. Why is Bob worried? Mainly because his plane is doing loop-de-loops or something. So here are your books. I'm going to read the story, first part again. You read along silently. You look at the words. Okay. Then they whisper read page 1 to 7, like they did day before. And you're circulating. Hello, note to self, on day 2, you will have to have some little booklets ready because the children will make their own book today about a toy they like. Make a book, write about a toy you like, draw pictures of it. So you will have had to make these little booklets. So get started 2 weeks back because it may take you, however many gazillion students you have, it'll take you time to get those books ready, or enlist the aid of whoever you can enlist. If you have the helpers in the classroom, the DBs, if you show them what to do, probably they can do it, or whatever system your school has for giving you that kind of support. But this is going to be a regular feature. You're going to need all this extra stuff, ice cream sticks and string and booklets. And so somebody better be there to help you. And the second part of the day is, and this is why something may go on till tomorrow. They might get so busy making their booklets that they won't finish this. Great. They'll have something to do tomorrow when you're worried about that. So here they have to find the word that is not an word. So the example shows bad with line through it. Bed, red hen. Yes. Okay, let's look at the next line. Jet, bed, mad. Cross that one out. Review it a little bit. All your different sounds are here. So this is a quick revision for the children to read all their short vowels. We keep revising as we go along. And then they read their book with their partners on day 2. Day 3, come on over. Let's look at our words. And how about looking at this? Hit, mad, at, did, and pep. These are some new words that we'll need for the second part of the story. So today you're going to read 8 to 16. Review the worksheet. Let's look at the pictures now in the second part of the story. So you show what happens. The first part, he's just out there playing with his airplane. Second part, something happens. Yeah, there's a man. Oh, yeah, the man's wearing a hat. And then you show each page. So now you look at the pictures while I read the second part of the story. And so you read. And here are your books. Now I'll read and you look at the pictures. Teacher reads, they're looking. Review the word cards. Because if they don't have the words, they're not going to be able to make out the sentences. make any connections that you realize are necessary, pep or gas or whatever. Now I'll read the story again. You follow the words. Don't say anything out loud. You read the second part of the story. So let's see about the story. What are some of the bad things that the jet did in this story? Okay, he hit the man, or he went in the mud, or dipped down. Whatever the kids think wasn't a good thing for the jet plane to do is okay. I don't know what kids say here to a grown-up when they're upset, but let's, like, sorry, or too bad, or go away, or whatever they might say. This is an open-ended question. There is no right or wrong answer to this. But it makes them think, if it were me, what would happen? That's called text to self. Taking what's ever happening in the story and relating it to my own thinking, life, experience. Whoa, if my airplane hit a man on the head, I'd probably run home. How did Bob finally get his jet? If you haven't read the story, you're in for a wonderful surprise. It's not great literature, but anyway. So now you'll read the story in a whisper voice and I'll come around and listen. Pages 8 to 16. Explain now. In these books, because there are two parts, often one of the day activities is a repeat of something they've done, but with a different set of pictures. So here it's the same idea, cut the pictures out, paste them in order, and write a sentence. But it's the second part of the book. So the plane was flying around, it hit the man's hat, he got upset, then it landed in the mud. Again, put the numbers at the back so you're not confused or make a mistake yourself at the end. And they write a short sentence. And when they're back at their tables, they read 8 to 16 on their own. Further revision of the story. And the last day, come together, look at the work from yesterday, read a couple of the sentences, review the vocabulary every time. And again, try to find different ways of reviewing the vocabulary. Hand out the cards, say, I'm looking for a word that has the eh sound. I'm looking for something with eh. I'm looking for a word that begins with pa, whatever it is. And then they say it, or they point to it, or they hold it up if you've handed out the cards. Different ways of revising the vocabulary. Maybe you hand out the cards, they read a card, they tell their partner, then they pass. Okay, now I've got, next. There are 1,000 ways you can do this. I'm not going to prescribe it. I have for class 1 been a little more detailed in that because they're not so used to this stuff, but you have been dealing with word cards and words, so you probably are more comfortable with it. I'll read the last part of the story once more. You look along in the book with me, and then they will whisper read, and you will go around and listen to them because this is the last day for this story. And then explain the last worksheet. The first part is cut it out, color it if you want, take it home because you don't want airplanes flying around your classroom. At home, put a string on it and fly it. So, hey, cool, you know, they get to color an airplane, they get to take it home, do something. Their mothers are saying, what are you doing? This was in our story. This wasn't on there going around the house. Haha. Let them do it at home. You don't have to do it. And the bottom part, they have sentences to fill in. Today, they'll find their words in smaller writing at the bottom of the worksheet. Nothing to cut out. They're there. But come on, guys. You can start looking at things that are a little smaller, not just giant letters hitting you in the eye. So the tin is So I don't know. They're going to have to figure it out. The sentence from the book, and the words are here. Now, you know, if they happen to write something like the tin jet is good, even if it's G-O-D, yeah, that's okay. That's a little creativity. I wouldn't worry about it. I would say, oh, wow, okay. Yeah. Is he a big one or a small one? He's small. Well, actually, in the book, he looks small. So, okay. Let it go. Let it go. Anyway, the parents are not going to know the right answer. So even if they look at it, it doesn't matter. You have to be satisfied that the child was in this activity and he was thinking something even more interesting than the word big. A jet is a A jet is a lot of fun. These are sentences from the book. By the time the kids have read it 101 times, they'll know. And if they don't know, they can look it up. So fair. Okay, so that takes care of the jet. It's 16 pages, but it's pretty simple stuff. You know, Bob can get a can of gas. The gas fit in his jet. These are very simple words, but they are longer sentences. That's why they really have to have heard you and understood what is going on in the story, so that they don't just say, the jet is, we don't want that. They have to know what they're going to be reading so they can read it fluently. Okay, so thoughts and questions about this book.
In case in the last worksheet, what you were showing right now, where they had to fill in the blanks with the words, yeah, this one only. In case the child writes whatever is there in his mind, maybe a jet is not fun, or maybe a jet is colorful, colored, or red color, red jet, anything. And do we need to write the exact sentence what is there in the book in case of correction, or we'll just appreciate his thought?
Please do exactly that, because this is not stuff that kids have to learn for the future.
Yeah.
Whether the jet is big or fun or red is completely immaterial in life. Something that you learn in science, you have to get the basic principle. So a flower has a bud. That's important. A leaf, a plant has a leaf. That's a fact. This is from storybooks. Now, later on when they're learning history from books, then they have to remember who is Gandhi and who is Patel and all that stuff. This is, if it weren't good phonics, I would say it is rubbish. But it is excellent phonics. And more important than that, it's your children are beginning to experiment with words, believe that they have good thoughts of their own. So if a child wants to say, the tin jet is red, okay, maybe he just finished coloring this red and he wants to write it here. You don't have to do any correction. That's a huge thing that we haven't really tackled. And I know you don't believe me, but if you plan your lessons and your classroom right, the group that is working on this has a lot of attention from the other teacher. And she's helping them to make good choices so that they do it correctly. She'll miss something, the kids will do something wrong, but you don't really have to do corrections. You want to look at a clue about how much the child is understanding, how much creativity he's putting into it, which words are still difficult for the children. Maybe a lot of kids are missing out on the word dip because it just doesn't make enough sense to them yet. That's something you need to know. But spending time making some kind of a mark on the paper and then getting the kid to correct. Now, I don't know if you ever, do you ever, at the moment you do so much correction, do you ever have the children come together and change the mistake to the correct answer? Do they have a corrections time?
No.
No. So if it was wrong in, let's say in their workbook, you marked it wrong or 5 out of 10 or something, they never go back and change it so that now it really is 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10? No? Hello, anybody?
Yeah,
Yes.
it doesn't matter actually to them. What matters is what they have learned and how they are going to use that in future.
It doesn't matter one bit to them if they've made a mistake, because it happened already yesterday or the day before. Ma'am didn't get around to looking at it until last night. She showed me this. I don't even know what this is anymore. The time to have an intervention is while I'm doing this paper. That's why that other person in the classroom has to be keeping track and saying, this part is really great. And yeah, I like that. A jet is a lot of fun, really good. Now let's see, what are we going to put here? Because now the kid is stuck. So the did a big, let's look in the book and see the jet did a big, that's the time to be there so that he figures it out. You're not going to write it for him. You say, I think in the book it says dip. Let's look at that page. The jet did a big, yeah. Okay, now you can use that to help you. I'll come back later. You're out of there. Because now he has to write, jet did a big dip. Oh. That's where the learning is going to happen. So that's what I'm saying. Don't bother correcting unless you're looking at it to get a sense of how the children are progressing. Okay. This is nothing for his permanent record. This doesn't have to go in the file that goes with him to his next school. This is just the vehicle, the method for getting the learning. Okay. I think we have some time or the other, we'll have to talk more about this whole thing of correcting because you're still worried about it. Yes? Some of you are?
I think the worries are coming because when we'll be sending these sheets to home, at that point of time, the response
Yes.
what we get, because we have to answer them, because definitely I'm sure till the time they get used to the pattern, we are going to get many queries asking, ma'am, the child has written wrong, but you have not corrected it. Then they are going to drop a mail and all that nonsense.
What will the parents know is the correct answer to this? They haven't seen the story. So if it says the tin jet is red, so what? A jet is a lot of fun. Okay, a jet is a lot of mud. Who knows that that's wrong? Who knows it's wrong? Maybe in this story, the jet fell in the mud. It got covered with mud. So the point is, who's going to know? And how many of your parents are really going to be able to evaluate this page with Again, while the work is going on is the time for some adult in the classroom to be keeping an eye on it. And sure, if the kid makes a mistake here, you point to it, you might even put a dot on it and say, this line, honey, you need to look at this line again. Or if, I don't know if your timetable allows you, but if they go out for something and you have all those papers, you can quickly go through them now quietly in the room. Both of you take 10, 10, 20, 20 each. Hey, listen, when he comes back, I want him to look at this because he really should fix this. Do it now. If the kid doesn't see the mistake until tomorrow, he has moved 10 years ahead of you. So it doesn't make any difference. And anyway, parents are just parents.
Yeah, actually our parents are of the view that yes, some tick should be there of teachers and teachers' signature should be there on the sheets of kids. If it is not there, they used to give a call or send mails. Like teacher is not checking what the hell teacher is doing. So that is a worry part for us.
Sure.
Till they will understand this new setup and new things.
In any case, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add, Meenakshi ma'am, actually parents want remarks from teachers that if a child has written red, it's okay, fine. At least teachers should mention there it should be big or whatever the context of the book.
Why? Why?
They are like, if a teacher will just give stars, or she will draw the smileys on the sheet, or on for the work of a child gets motivated for doing better and better. It is the what parents think about this, and they repeatedly tell us, if a child gets only two, we give only two smileys to a child, and they keep on asking us, why you have given only two smileys, why not three smileys, or one or four smileys. So it's like that, they are having that mental setup कि नहीं,
Yeah.
there should be there with the child's work.
Well, they all think their child is the biggest genius in the world. That's the first problem. And, you know, that can't be the case. Secondly, there is a huge body of research on motivation. And I've mentioned it before, the more external motivation you give to a child or an adult, anybody, even a puppy, the less motivation from inside will develop. It also sets the child up for failure. So you give 3 smiley faces today, tomorrow you give him 2 or 1. Oh my God, I failed. I'm so dumb. They got 3, I only got, I'm so dumb. Okay, I don't even care. This is what's going through the child's mind, even though he may not articulate it or even frame it as a thought himself. The minute you overemphasize and say, oh, that's great, that's the best, you're so wonderful. Oh no, what's going to happen tomorrow? Maybe I won't be wonderful tomorrow. Maybe mommy won't love me anymore. This has been studied in thousands of cases around the world. So if we do nothing else in the next year or so, we have to help parents realize, what do we value? We value, yes, Amit, you worked really hard on this paper. You did a lot of hard work to make this get done. Good for you on that. Even if there are mistakes, because effort is like an elastic, it can stretch forever. But when you say, oh, you're excellent at this, that's a ceiling. We know that's an A+ or it's 100%. Oh, I'm already at 100%. What will I do tomorrow? I'll be 99. I'll be 84. So you're not helping the child, and you're certainly not helping the parent, because it's all fake stuff. Smileys and stars, and it's all fake. What we want to do at the end of this unit on, let's say, the books, the 3 books, put it together in a packet. Don't waste your time correcting every little A and I and O. Write a short paragraph, even if it's maybe 5 paragraphs. So one goes to this group of kids, one goes to this group, where you say, for the last month, we've been learning words that have the S sound like bed, and your child has, then you have to fill in the blank. Your has what? Has learned it very well, can read very fluently, has increased his vocabulary, or maybe is reading fluently, still needs to work on some of his pronunciation, whatever. But you can have at least 5 different little paragraphs, print them off, staple them on the packet, and send the packet home. But you've given some information about that child, or at least that group of children. I mean, I know you've got 30 kids, but don't tell me about how hard that is. My sister in America just finished writing 27 individual report cards. Each paper, each report is completely individual, from the first kid in the class down to the last one on the roll list. 27 individual, maybe 7 paragraphs about reading and writing and math and science and social. So you can do it. It'll be hard in the beginning because you won't kind of, what language do I use? My kid can read well, he can get vocabulary, he's writing his own sentences. That's the information parents want to know. How many smiley faces is completely immaterial. And then at the end, you can say, your child will be happy to read some of these stories to you. Some of these sentences, or explain some of the pages to you. It'll give the kids something new, and give the parents a little understanding. So let's shift our time. Instead of spending probably, I don't know what, an hour and a half every day doing corrections, make your notes so that when you have to write that paragraph, you'll have something real to say about each kid. All right, put that in the corner right now of your brain so that we can think about it and begin to figure out how you'll make it work. And the heads of the school will be explaining to parents, we have some new plans here. And the heads of schools should say, when you have a question, here's my email. Call me, please don't call the teachers. I will help you to understand what's going on. So a lot of other people, not you, will get the complaints.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's true.
we
And
will
ma'am,
be having
this
less
is,
queries
Yeah.
and ma'am, this
because,
is due to, yes,
Mhm.
Charu ma'am, please go ahead.
ma'am, you speak. You speak, Malka ma'am.
And I feel this is the mindset which we have only developed with among the parents of these stars and smileys and everything. And now it's we who has to change it. And since we are changing ourselves, so right now we are feeling a struggle because we have to change. It's a 360-degree change. So definitely it will take some more time. We'll have to talk more about it to the parents, to the students, and among our colleagues as well, because not only pre-primary, we have parents who are in school also. So when they talk to the other group of parents in their child's class, they will be also helping us to make them understand. And definitely, yes, we are always available. Whenever you are stuck, uh, we'll plan and we'll share these feedback forms, sort of like we are sharing right now for the virtual classes. We'll be sharing something like that during the next session as well, so that whatever concerns are there are nipped at the very bud, so that they don't go up in a huge complaint or something like that. And if we get some positive suggestions from there, we'll definitely discuss and try to incorporate those.
Yes, fair enough.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. We are the ones who have started this whole mad process of giving stickers and stars and uh, yeah, encouraging parents to think that that's the only way they can learn about the child's work. But if you asked a parent, well, what do you think two smiley faces really means? It was very good.
They
Okay.
actually don't know.
Suppose I put two stars. I mean, what does it mean? I think Charu wanted to say something. Go ahead, Charu.
Yeah, I was saying, ma'am, these problems will be solved mostly with a parent orientation also that will be held every year before the start of the session. I think parents will understand it and will cooperate with us.
And it's important at the beginning of the term, definitely, to set it in motion, but it's equally important maybe once a month or once in 6 weeks, either for the team who's doing upper KG, all 7 or 8 of you, to have a common newsletter that you send out to the parents. We send it by email, simply saying, this is what we've covered, and this is what we find the children are doing this very well, and some children are still working on this, so that they know what you are doing. They, first of all, they want to believe that you're actually teaching something. Obviously, you're not going to give the whole curriculum map and all that, but the bullet points of what you're doing, and then to be able to say that most of the children have well met our expectations, and we're doing some review work with a couple of children, and they'll meet the expectations next month, something like that, because they don't know who's doing what. But the more information you give them, the less reason they'll have to come and badger you for something. And then they'll talk to each other. Did you get that newsletter? Yeah, I did. You get an email? Yeah, okay. What do you think? All right, good. They'll be busy talking to each other instead of you. Okay. And there's so many things you can do with newsletters, and you can even just prepare it and give it to the office and have them send it out. I mean, your school
It's their job
operates.
only.
Yeah,
It's their
you
job
know,
only.
the school operates on such a gigantic level, like a huge institution, as opposed to a school that has maybe classes KG to 5 and everybody has to do everything themselves. So if this program is to succeed, and if Mr. Ketan wants it to succeed, he's going to have to pick up some of these little pieces so you have time to do the important stuff. Okay, teachers? Yeah. All right. Let's do this last book, which is a bit weird, I know, but again, the sounds that it brings out are very important. And it's only an 8-page book. And I think the kids will like it a lot more than we do. That usually, if I don't like something, it means kids will love it. So here we go. So come together, folks, because here we're going to look at a book you're going to read by yourself. It's called Jet Bed. Oh, I wonder what this is going to be about. I think there's a little boy in the story who goes to bed, but he has a dream. And in his dream, all sorts of strange things happen. We'll read it in a minute. But I think you're going to need these words. Ken is the boy, gets, set, zigs and zags and zips. Those are all words that tell us about movement and